special meeting of the Jerome Township Board of Trustees for August 17th, 2:30 p.m. Mr. Kraft?
Present.
Mr. Edwards? Present. Ms. Watson?
Present.
Let's stand for the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, well, for today we have on the agenda is one specific item, the discussion of renovations of the Township Hall. And we have with us representatives from the design firm WSA to make a presentation, and then we're going to have questions. And, so if you gentlemen would like to introduce yourselves first. So this is being live streamed, so we have a recording of the proceedings for today.
Great, yeah. My name is Phil Riazzi, architect and project manager with WSA.
I'm Frank Weaver, also with WSA and principal on the project.
Yeah, so we'll flip through. I think obviously some people in the room are very familiar with what we've been presenting, but this is something we've gone back and forth over kind of first part of this year. And what we had looked at and what we want to show today is still what's up in the air in terms of the scope of the project. So we had looked at multiple options as we were studying this with you all on a mezzanine that was for storage, addition, what are the programming elements that need to be in here. So we had broken that down in this presentation. This is the latest presentation that was visible to you all, Barry and Brandon, that we had looked at a cost estimate to go along with this. This is not a construction estimate. This is not a bid. This is us as part of a process for what we do to help make sure we're right-sizing the project as we assign some basic estimates to square footage and what you would anticipate spending on a project like this.
Could I interrupt for a second? Is that possible to print this out?
Yeah, Phil, can you enlarge that by any chance? There we go. And I can go back and make copies too if you'd like.
Yeah, so all this page again is it's looking at based on the categories and colors that I've got labeled here with letters. Is if you look on our spreadsheet here, it's assigned a cost per square foot based on the extent of work, the complexity. So an addition is going to cost more than going in and upgrading some finishes and layering. So what we had estimated this part is probably the more this had the most thought and research to it, was what are our construction costs for the plans that are to date, what we've been showing. And so, like I said, those letters correspond to areas of the building where, it's a lighter touch. For example, A, we've talked about some of the offices up front, the zoning offices, the fiscal and admin office, that those are, some finish updates. B, there's a little more rework of actual walls. We've been talking about more of a true renovation. C is the big garage that exists today that we've been discussing as becoming an event or flexible meeting room. So those were assigned different square footages, which is what all you're seeing in the latest deck that was created. So for example, 220 square foot. Those are all correspond to what we understand as more complex, more scope. What's in purple is new. This is square footage that does not exist. So we've been talking with you all about to service the needs you have for a space like this. Actually, doing a small addition that would have some storage capabilities. So that's what you're seeing in the purple, the D area. And then the last one was the idea of a patio that would look out towards the park. So that's what's labeled as E. So that's again. This was. Where we had left the conversation off was right-sizing that scope and assigning some numbers so you all could make decisions responsibly, and we can help with that. The rest of this drawings in here are the actual design drawings. So this is the existing site plan that we all, what's out there right now, and what you're seeing highlighted here is where that addition would be. So we've been talking about some work that would be related to that addition, the relocation of the tornado or emergency siren that's out there. There's also a fuel tank that would need to be replaced, and we've been discussing potentially relocating it all together. So that's the site plan and kind of scope with new square footage. The next slide here is showing a proposed new site plan. So now you're seeing that addition here. The end of your building is this wall right here. This is new. And so it's showing some of the upgrades that we were proposing there, including restriping the parking lot to get more parking. I know you guys have, some issues sometimes being at capacity, and this is not showing any new pavement, but we think by merely restriping, you pick up, I believe we had before, you have 55 spaces now. Just by restriping with what's shown here, it gets you up to 66. So that was part of the exercise in terms of site improvements that were discussed. And then rest of the drawings are related to the floor plan specifically. So this is just for context, the demolition plan. So what's dashed is what's being shown is what would be removed or altered. That's all this plan is showing for. Then the next 3 pages are different options for the configuration of the interior. So we left the conversation off last with, the size of the event kitchen, decide where the mezzanine access would be, what's in the addition, those types of things. So this option here, you're seeing that mezzanine stair in all of the options sits right here, but its access is different amongst the 3 options. So this would be something where the mezzanine would only be accessible from the office side. This big wall, as a reminder, this big wall here is right now it exists. It separates your garage from your office area now. So anyway, it picks up within the footprint of the garage space. That's where the event space would be, and 2 new restrooms. You have 4 existing, 2 that are outside, 2 that are interior. What we are proposing in all of the options is 2 additional restrooms to meet the needs of the meeting room. The other thing, the variations you'll see between the other 2, the one that makes this unique is it picks up an extra office. It's been something that's discussed as a room for growth for the township to have. It might not be filled out day 1, but it gives you room for additional staff down the road. The other 2, now we're looking at option 2. The other one picks up additional file room and a larger event kitchen. We got feedback with one of the plans earlier that the event kitchen wasn't going to be large enough. So what this addresses compared to the option I just had up was a larger event space, a larger prep area for events and meetings and for food prep. So you're seeing what's different about this one is that sheets into the office space. File storage we moved down here by the existing door that's actually in this room, and that would be also tied together with the mezzanine. The other unique part of this one is the restroom sequence. What it does is help you in this one that during the day office staff would have access to the 2 you already have access to without having to go into the event room. But if you had an event space where you wanted to use all 4, you could lock this door here, and it affords you opportunity to have all 4 restrooms usable.
Which option is this?
This is what we were calling option 2 in this plan.
Okay, so it's different than option 2
Yeah,
that we've got, right?
You have her package number 4, but they don't have package number 5.
Oh. Okay, yeah, so there might be different numbering. This was the latest.
So option 2 is now option 1, and then they have a different option 2.
Yeah, and I can, if we get into more questions, I have actually, I can pull up option, or design package 4, what was before this, but the differences between 1 and 2, as we were narrowing in, they're subtle. It's the rearrangement of this kind of core area. Like I said, larger event space. The conversation left off with, hey, we don't think the event kitchen is providing us enough space, so that's what this was adding. And then what's, again, labeled in this design package is the option 3 is a variation of that last one where there's still a larger event kitchen that spills into the main area, but that the kitchen for staff moves down here by this parking lot door and lets the file room kind of float and be more central to the floor plan. That could be where your workstation or printer, office supplies, all that kind of things would be there. And the mezzanine access would stay at that location. You would you'd only be able to access it from the office side. Across all three, you didn't see any change in what the addition is. We've always really talked about that being storage for tables, chairs, what's behind us now, behind the accordion door. There's obviously a larger need with more space. So all three options show the addition being mechanical room. You'll need a new HVAC unit to serve a large space like this, and you'll need the storage room. And the leftover space we were showing was always something that could be used in a flexible way, hence the name flex room, that during a meeting, that's maybe breakout space. If it's a party, if it's a more formal party, maybe that's additional food could be put out there, gift room, whatever that could be. It would be something that would be supporting having one large room. Sometimes it's difficult if you don't have anywhere to break out. Anyway, across all three options in this design package, those are the same.
Option 3.
No, but if,
Okay.
Yeah, and I could pull up and speak to, if you guys are looking at in front of you,
We have an email.
I might be able to print it. When did you send that one, Phil?
Design Package 5 was July 14th. Design Package 4, which it sounds like it's in front of everyone, is July 3rd.
You might be able to just print copies real fast.
I can go up to
But is this option 3 a new option, not in this packet?
Correct.
So the option 3 is what we don't have in front of us right now.
Yeah. And they're slightly different. So what you have in front of you, what's labeled option 2,
Right.
is side by side, is the most similar to, and what I just walked through, still is design option 1. It's most similar to that. Where left is what I just walked through, right is what I believe everyone has in front of them. You'll see it's the same, just confirming as I'm looking at them both, that they were the same. It's just a renumbering. What is new was option 2 is a variation where again, new is on the left, what I just walked through is on the left, what you have in front of you is on the right. That the kitchen for the staff stayed in that center area, but that the file storage moved down to make room for a larger kitchen. A larger event kitchen.
Now, is that including
Still on.
the door that comes up? I know that was a discussion, whether it was going to open up to outside. We had talked about that. Is that included in that?
Are you talking right back here?
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to go over that change,
We have
Phil?
planned for,
Discussion.
again, I'll minimize, again, what I walked through this meeting is this larger one. But there are the overhead doors here and here that would open out to the
The patio deck and then out.
patio and to the parking lot
The
where
other
you
side.
could have something like you saw on the site plan, that maybe that's a space for tables, if there's a special event, food
I got
truck,
you. Okay.
pull up there. So these two were kind of pegged as overhead doors that could open up. The other two, which you've got 2 overhead doors that are now, solid coiling doors, but those openings would be reused. The one on the right, plain right, would be glass. The one on the left would be a new glass overhead door that would be operable.
So going back to option 3, is that with the enlarged event kitchen or the smaller event kitchen?
Option 3 also has an event kitchen that extends into your current office space, basically taking this, it's right where your kitchen is now.
It's option 1 and then just switching the storage.
You need to, forget those. They're not working off those numbers.
Yeah, just wrap that one up, put that in file 13.
You got completely different pictures.
Yeah.
This is 1 and 2. they're showing.
No,
Just look at the screen.
This is what we just walked through as option 1, where it's the only one of the 3 that we walked through where the event kitchen stays entirely within the footprint of the garage.
Option 1 is option 2.
yes.
Yeah.
And that is a no starter for me because I'm the one here on the weekends with events going on, and the kitchen right now is too small.
I know, that's what my concern is. I've been here for events too, and that kitchen is too small.
Okay.
So
So then, the
I
next
think
two-
that's the only option for how large the event area would possibly be for the community to
Option
be
one
able to,
doesn't exist anymore.
as it's growing.
Yeah, so the next two show a significantly larger space. We were kind of thinking back in this area would be where sinks, appliances, those types of things that are more, if you call it back of house, and then it gives you more room out here for staging, putting stuff out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So option two, how big is the kitchen area?
It says 314 square feet, so what is that? 12 by 15 feet?
Yeah.
12
and
by
that's,
15,
Yes.
I think.
Yeah.
12
yes,
by
that's
15,
12 by 15.
and 12 by 12, basically. 12 by 13.
So that 314 square foot number is including the extra area here.
Which is from the event center side.
Correct. It's on the other
Yeah.
side of your current big wall that's up against
Yes.
the garage.
Isn't that small open just because that's a solid wall there? Why isn't it totally open to that?
Yeah, it's because it's CMU. It's the bigger the opening, the bigger steel angle we'll have to go back in and support it with. It's just
Could be a little bit wider, but not that much. I mean, you've got casework basically on both sides of it, so
yeah. You
we
could,
could make that another foot wider if need be.
so you'll see in 3, which is on the right, what's being now called 3. That's about 3 feet
3 feet difference.
difference in the kitchen space. Both show a much larger kitchen, but this one's a little smaller on the right, the third.
You said this one's option,
Gentlemen, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I'm going to print copies of package number 5. I'm not sure why that happened, but I can tell it's creating confusion, understandably. So
Thanks.
copies of design package number 5 are being printed right now.
Okay.
yeah, thank
Please
you.
stand by.
Thank you.
Thanks.
It would be helpful because I think we want
There you
to
go.
look at
There you
the
go.
costs
Sorry.
associated with each of the components.
Yeah.
One of the concerns I know expressed by Robert and the board is that the
Yeah.
costs have increased significantly from what we initially.
But also, if things need to be done, we don't.
And some of
Need
the
to be doing
costs
everything.
increased included things that we were originally thinking were going to be paid for separate. For example, the new fuel tank, and also the relocation of the emergency siren. So there were some additional costs that we were kind of setting over here that we knew we would have to do, but now they're just bundling it into this package.
Okay.
Yeah, we want
That
to,
makes sense.
as people not pricing and saying this is what it costs for us to do the construction, we're just wanting to make sure we'd rather be here and you guys go out and bid this thing and it comes in below. We'd rather, rather than the opposite, have you guys be unexpected by what it could cost. But we try to give you the most comprehensive. It's got design fees, permitting fees, moving a tank, moving a site. It's kind of like trying to look at everything so that you guys can make the best decision for yourselves.
And is that part of what he's bringing out with the cost of the design package 5?
It was in this package, so if he's printing the whole thing in, I can also look to that.
But I also, originally, this project did not consider any kind of building addition, so we were never contemplating doing an addition to the building originally, so.
Thanks, Eric. Thank you, sir. My pleasure.
Thank you.
We should clear up the confusion.
Yeah, apologies, we just can see this great, Mr. Chairman.
So Robert, have you looked at these numbers and pulled out those things that you know are part of it?
Yeah, so they're highlighted there in kind of tan color
Tan colors,
for
okay.
additional items that were put in after several iterations.
Yeah. Yeah, yellow, I used this color, it was after the first time we presented any number. I wanted to make it clear what was new. And some of these things are obviously just kind of us saying, sure, 10,000, like we don't know exactly what those costs are, and they're very much estimates. We feel pretty good about construction costs from we have a lot of historical information on what, an addition like that, what it's gonna cost per square foot, what it takes to go through and just do a light finish upgrade, lighting and paint and all that. And, what a full remodel of a garage space to turn into a nice meeting room is gonna take.
Can you talk about some of the contingencies?
Yeah, the other thing that's in here is a lot of, is conservative, $300,000 in unassigned, contingencies for the project that we're saying, the hope would be those are not spent costs, but things happen, we don't think any renovation project should hold no contingency, but 10% is conservative. Holding $320,000 in contingency is conservative, but again, we'd rather tell that story and have you guys come down than the other way. So we're holding 4 separate line items here. Escalation depends on when this thing bids. As we know, it's crazy out there with costs, and every month that goes by, it seems like there's an increase in material. So it's holding money for that, just as an estimate. Construction contingency, like I said, 10% is aggressive, or is conservative, sorry. Whether or not this thing gets phased, sometimes contractors, if they see a project that's going to require them to move about the site, the 2 different phases, because you want to build that up first, and then they're going to move over here. That sometimes we see that as a small premium of extra labor, but again, conservative number, and then a contingency for your AV budget. You might see they need more bells and whistles than they originally thought, whatever it may be. That's what that stuff is supposed to be targeted for.
And the cost estimate is based on square footage in your diagram on the page attached, but are there any differences between the 3 options that we need to be aware of in terms of, can we save any costs, one versus another?
I would say not significantly. Building out a larger kitchen with more casework, but I mean, we're talking about single-digit thousands of dollars, not not tens and 20s of thousands of dollars. So I think for the purpose of where we are and the fact that this is not a construction bid, I don't think, no, it's not significant differences among the options. It's the same scope, square footage, reservation.
Robert, is there anything in this that you see that looks like expensive and should not be taken into consideration? We should be cutting back on,
Not on a large scale. I mean, when you look at, do we start with using the existing tables and chairs versus buying new ones? As you mentioned, you're talking $2,000, $5,000. You're not talking really big numbers. Are we getting picnic tables to put out on the deck? Umbrellas, things of that sort. So nothing big. I know the office was concerned. I think in the design it talks about it. I think it's got designed a dishwasher. They see that as only being a problem, especially with renters.
Yeah.
So you're talking hundreds, small thousands, but not any. We're not talking
Significant,
$100,000.
yeah.
I think everything that was added throughout the phases has been great. I don't think in our initial thoughts we ever envisioned a deck, but that would be fabulous looking out over the pond,
Yeah.
especially during the summertime with the doors open.
It definitely draws, I think it would draw more people into wanting to rent this event space for sure.
far as version option 2 and 3, I'm leaning a little towards option 2 with a larger storage space versus the collaborative kitchen. Just knowing what our storage needs are. Yes, we will have the mezzanine, but nobody wants to go up and down the stairs 5 times a day. So having long-term storage up there versus short-term, that's really the only comment I have. It addresses the kitchen area even bigger than what was in the original option 2.
Right.
The staging area, right now they use tables out in front of the open window here
Right.
as their staging area, so I see that as a big plus.
To that extent, that staging area, that opening could be widened, so if you just put 2 tables in there, easier access. Between the event hall, no, between the event hall and the hall.
This one?
No, no. Right there, yeah.
This one?
Right.
Yeah, that could be opened up a little bit.
That's easy, yeah, that's not an existing wall, so it could be designed that way.
My concern would be if you have a lot of people coming in, you need in and out
Yeah.
access, and that's hard to do when you're carrying a tray full of food.
True.
So Robert, what were you just saying on the collaborative kitchen thing? What did you just say?
I like the one where the collaborative kitchen is a little smaller and the file storage is larger, which
Oh,
is
yeah.
option 2 versus the other way around.
Got it.
Yeah.
I know the staff will appreciate having their own refrigerator that they don't have to clean out every week.
Yeah.
It will have supplies that renters wouldn't get into, so that's good, but it just doesn't need to be a very large area.
Yeah, and I think we liked where in the plan that is, or in terms of like fostering some of that collaboration between people and not having to go around the full donut floor of the floor plan, go all the way around the U shape, Eric's office here, you could imagine this is a quick spot for people to meet, have a drawing, have something to look at, and they're not having to kind of snake around the building.
You better move that printer closer to Eric's office on the other side of that. You probably use the
You
printer
have
as
some.
much as
We'll give them a second one.
Mm-hmm. Yes, some.
Came in handy today.
I think, guys, my feedback is, from when we started, we met, I don't know how many weeks, whatever now, time flies, but the brainstorming, the ideas that kind of came out of all of this have been very, very helpful, because I think it opened all of our minds up to, the floor plan that exists today, what your experiences have been, and your suggestions have been very, very helpful. And then, I agree with you. I don't think anybody had thought of going off of the back wall, to expand out, and what that would even look like or bring to the table. But, just last week, I think Debbie can attest, we probably had 4 or 5 people in here to sign up to rent this place. And you take that on what we have now and just expand that of what people would eventually see when they come here for weddings and again, the goal, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not going to speak for the board, but since I've been here day one, the board has made it clear we are not interested in competing to be a wedding venue. That's not it. But on the other hand, some of the issues that have, because it seems like we're adding people and it just keeps getting a little smaller, a little smaller, a little smaller. Well, it's real, and I think the community would appreciate having an option that really just expands on this and forward thinking and the growth that we already see in the community. This could really be an exciting option for families to do whatever. I mean, we're coming up on a very, very busy very busy time. For holidays, we tend to get a lot of family gatherings, some church gatherings, occasionally a class reunion of some sort, but a lot of interest, and I think it's just going to keep growing. Not to mention with the connection to this neighborhood back here now, with the shared path that we have through the woods, more and more of those neighbors are enjoying the park. So I don't think there's any question. My feedback to the board would be, I don't think there's any question that it would increase the amount of reservations. I think it would be expected that you put something more exciting, more modern here, it's going to draw that much more attention. And so, you know, you don't, again, you can look at the rates at that time, you can think about what you would charge, you know, applicable rate. You know, it'd take years, you know, to think of it in terms of, you know, what are you getting back? But again, it helps cover the cost of our janitor fees. It helps cover the cost of ongoing maintenance fees to do that. That's why I was told, at least, that's why the board has always set a fee here. So lots of options there, but I believe that this type of product that you're seeing today best represents all of the conversations that we've been having now for several weeks, and amongst the staff. The staff is really excited to see this. We're here all the time. And another option here is that, I think I didn't say it maybe clear enough the first time, is that this also allows the public an opportunity to rent during the day. And right now we just don't do it. We're not able to because we're in business.
We've had to turn away people because of the numbers, correct, for renting reservations.
Well, it just depends on the day. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, so it's fairly common that people call and we'll already have a conflict. We'll already be reserved, you know, on that particular day, you know, especially around graduation times. I'm sure Debbie can speak to that more than me, but that's normally what we hear is, you know, hey, that date's already booked, you're gonna have to select another date, and we give them the options.
How about space, like numbers?
That, you mean as far as overcapacity or not?
Right.
I would have no idea.
I mean, had people said that, no, we're gonna have a party of whatever, so that won't work.
Well, I know Michelle's not here today, but she told me that she just had that happen where someone expected around 100 and we had to turn them away.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of curious. Okay.
Yep.
So what I'd like to say is just taking a look at this, if we were looking at like save on costs, I think that was something that we felt as we created what would be most useful to the public and to the township, we were getting into some cost areas that we hadn't really expected. I know we've got, you know, $300,000 here in contingencies, but if there'd be any way that we could avoid the addition, the cost savings there would be approximately $240,000, plus we wouldn't have to move the tank or relocate the siren. However, we would maybe be giving up 10 parking spaces. I mean, if we've got a space that can hold 158 people to code, and we've got 66 parking spaces, and some of those are 2 people or 3 people, that would probably be, you know, adequate. If it was just people coming for the meeting space, not, you know, not necessarily workers, but I mean, this flex room is nice, and the furniture storage is kind of nice because sometimes you can go with a lot of different types of layouts here with the storage that we have. But our tables are on wheels, and the chairs could be put up. So, like, I don't know what to do about the furniture storage, but if we took the items that are in the mechanical room and we moved them into the storage area, there's some storage going on in the mechanical room. Like, we could probably fit maybe, I don't know what code is, 2 more HVAC systems and put the outside units outside the thing there. All the electric's right there, so to be a little closer of a run. And then as far as maybe a bigger water heater or instant water heater, all the water runs are close to this area. that would be helpful in cost savings. So that would, if we could figure out a way to take care of a mechanical room, then as far as, electric for this area, if that other mechanical area was gonna have its own electric, service, we could maybe fit the electric service in the mechanical room with the other electrical service, and then maybe not do the addition.
Yeah, there's a couple other things to consider. The event space is double height space or taller space. There's some efficiency with that mechanical unit to serve that big space. I think we are going to be challenged to get ductwork out of that existing mechanical room back to that event space.
We have to bust through that wall.
Yeah, it's going to be, it's definitely going to be a challenge. The other thing that you kind of tiptoed into is if we're going to lose the storage component on the outside of the building, I do feel like you're going to need the majority of that file storage room for furniture storage to give yourself flexibility as you look at different configurations for that event hall. So not to say that all Eric's file cabinets could go on the mezzanine, and we turn the file storage into kind of a storage slash furniture storage room, but there are definitely some challenges there as well.
Yeah.
So,
Raining
The
again.
heating, cooling, could be on the mezzanine.
yeah,
Or we
there's some
could do
challenges.
a double mezzanine.
Yeah, there's some challenges for sure with the mezzanine. We've already had one kind of consult with the local building officials that have some concern with the mezzanine. But by switching the access to the mezzanine from the existing office space, we certainly cleaned up their concerns a little bit. They did not like access to the mezzanine from the event space. So these revised floor plans do address the access to the mezzanine. But the mezzanine is not very big either though. So,
Because it looks like if we took 400, if we made our addition 400 more square feet, we would be looking at $40,000 more to have it on ground level versus up.
yeah. Yeah, we see the building addition as a pretty straightforward, simple addition. Again, it does force you to address the fuel tank and the siren, but there are some code issues currently with the existing tank that I think need to be addressed. That may come up as we go in for a plan review anyway, that we're going to have to deal with. So.
Along what Joe is suggesting, what if the flex room is dropped in that additional space there? What would that, how much would that reduce the cost? Upper left.
Yeah, I mean, some of the, what you're building is smaller and smaller, your cost per square foot goes up because it's less efficient. But if we had presumed, or if we carry the logic of it's 250 to 275 a square foot, so quick math on that, with that 311 times 275, 85,000.
Of all the things that we added on that side, that's probably the least critical piece in my mind. I think we're going to need the capital, Joe, just from the efficiency of the unit out there. And have that furniture storage is important when we have an event hall where we're going to try to put 160 people in. We need to sometimes have a place to store the furniture.
I think before we were putting that in the area, and the area was going to be smaller, and then we end up getting closer to this room's capacity. Is that what was happening?
Yes and no.
Because if you took,
The earlier version had it configured different with the mezzanine too, is in that corner, I think. Because of the concerns about entering the mezzanine from the main building,
Yes.
we had to move the storage.
Yeah.
But yeah, I suppose another 311 feet if you somehow put the furniture storage in the main hall, it reduces the seating and the capacity. I think part of what we're trying to do is increase capacity. But I don't know that.
Unless we could put the mechanical room on another a mezzanine on the other side. I don't know what that would affect the look of the room, if it's going to take away from it, because the viewing screen is up on that side. It's just like, I think I heard Robert mention this, and I thought it was a good way to say it. You know, what's our need and future needs versus what we may want or like to see. You know, how can we make this work most economically? Because we definitely need a bigger, everyone here agrees, we definitely need a bigger meeting space. It's terrible to have to turn people away when we have our meetings because of capacity issues.
We had talked.
Or every time someone leaves, one person can come in, that type of thing is not a good situation.
So some of the discussion on the flex room was that some families are looking for, and we've had this as a problem, is where to put children. Sometimes they need just a space. And we had talked about, you know, maybe if there's an adult that, you know, it could be a birthday party or something for someone, and they, you know, the kids just want a spot away from everybody else. You know, that space could be that during like trainings or conference meetings of some sort that we would host for other communities. We hold them here. It would be a good spot to have as a breakout type of area, which was already mentioned. You know, do a smaller group in that room. But at the end of the day, yeah, I mean, it's hard to predict, you know, what that future need might be, but I don't know. Most of the time we see the kids hanging out in our lobby is where a lot of the children end up playing, and that's not really good either, but there is nowhere else for them to go if the weather's bad or whatever, so.
What do you think, Robert?
I think, you know, if you're going to do it, we do what we think we need. You know, as they mentioned, this isn't the bid, this isn't the quote, so we put in what we'd like to have and see what the bids come back as. And
Okay.
if they're too much, you know, throw out things like the furniture and some of that versus the actual construction of the space. You know, we can buy new furniture later, we can
Like phase
add
it.
some audio
Right.
visual out there later, some of those things that could be delayed versus eliminating construction
Yeah.
foundation.
I mean, we could do the whole patio deck as an alternate. I mean, it's easy to separate prices on some of these things.
And easy to go in later, next summer and build it without
Yeah.
interfering with your operations today.
Well, we throw it back to you, Robert. What are you comfortable with in terms of our budget? Fiscal,
I'd be
where would we
more
fund this?
comfortable with like $1,750,000, which is kind of where we get to without the contingencies. So we might be able to get there.
How do you foresee funding this? Will this come out of general funds, or do you
Yes.
float a bond?
No, we could pay this out of general fund. But the board has been very conservative over the years in their spending, and there's enough money within the general fund to do a project like this.
And is this something where we would want to spend the general fund down based on some of the county proposed limits to what we can keep in reserve?
So I did attend the Union County Budget Commission meeting where they did go over that. Right now, they're meeting their obligation by just asking townships what they're saving the money for and why they're accumulating balances. This is what we proposed, we were gonna do with our general fund at this point in time. So right now, there's no additional action being taken by Budget Commission to force people to reduce their reserve balances.
And if this should increase to this projected number of 2.1 million, would that significantly impact our ability to do other things with the township funds? Do we have to reduce any services?
So that's where we could maybe look at, okay, do we pay for part of it and finance part of it? We went through that with the road garage over here. It's not the easiest process because of the limitations we have in the type of debt we can issue. But we've gone through it once, so we have bond counsel to help us through that process again. So rather than cutting corners, my suggestion would be, well, maybe look at different sources of revenue, future sources of revenue, if it's things we think we need as far as the expansion goes.
I'd want to be careful to tie up the future trustees too much. What happened, the monument property that we bought, the land over here, that was like financed on a 5-year note through Richwood?
Yes.
Is that something we would be allowed to do on?
No.
Okay, all right.
Since some of
Thank
this
you.
expansion is relating to zoning, is that a
Yeah,
possibility to use
yes.
zoning funds?
And
Do you have some-
essentially zoning is a sub-fund of the general fund. That was a stipulation that came out from the auditor state a number of years ago. So in our financial statements, while we do show budget reports for each individual fund, it rolls into the general fund. So yes, this adds zoning offices, so some of that money could be used.
I'm just flipping back to Joe's suggestion, looking at the mezzanine F, could we add on to the mezzanine and make a left-hand turn on that corner to the mechanical services up above?
So some of the challenge, the mezzanine, you've
Or is
got
the weight of the equipment gonna be too much for this?
well, not necessarily. It's the head height. You've got less than 14 feet to the existing roof deck, and to have by a code a habitable space on above and below, you need at least 7.6. The math doesn't add up. That was the whole conversation we had. They're willing to accept like restrooms. Sometimes are fine. Those restrooms would have like 7-foot ceilings. They'd be very, very short rooms. Which that's very different than having other sorts. It starts to eat into your.
And then the
usable square
staging
footage.
room would have
A very low ceiling, yes.
and then when you'd walk out in the event center, it'd be a large.
Yes. So it's kind of like, well, it looks like a ton of space. If you try to split it and have space below and above, it doesn't work by code. So we already still need the exception that they would allow us to do stuff like restrooms in a staging area. It becomes a little dicier if you're trying to put more and more stuff under the mezzanine because the head height won't be high enough. You just don't have the height. One of the earlier, there was a section drawing that we cut through to show that. I'm trying to remember if it was in design package 4, if it was. Might be another version ago.
The way it's currently designed, Barry, everything is lined up along the one wall. It's kind of clean. I worry a little bit about adding. If we were to turn the corner, I think it's going to start to look a little awkward in there. You're going to spend additional money on additional mezzanine space that's uninhabitable when I think it's a better use of the money to build new construction right across the way where you've already got to do a building addition and put the mechanical space there. So. But yeah, that's the section. You can see there's just
You end up under 7 feet.
we do still have to go for an exception to get this mezzanine to work for the storage. And while they said they would support us, we still do need to go down that
It's up to the
path as
state.
well. Yeah, it's up to the state.
I'd like to mention too, a lot of times when they build a building, they'll put the electrical service and the gas line and everything on the gable end of the building. Then later on, when the person decides they need to expand the building out that way, those types of items are in the way. So, you know, if we, you know, the only thing we could do, I guess, would keep moving the mechanical room out if we ever did expand that area like in the future, which I don't know. Just something to consider.
Some line to that is you're near the limit of the size of this building before you get into more expensive measures like sprinklers or fire separations.
Okay.
The type of construction that this building is doesn't allow, well, we're kind of already at a very close,
To the max.
we are like allowed to 8,000 or 9,000 feet with this type of construction. So I think the idea that you would one day down the next double the size of this thing or keep going would probably be very expensive. This is still within a threshold that doesn't allow us, doesn't require us to go through and upgrade existing construction, sprinkler the building, do all kinds of firewalls, which are very, very expensive. So this is near that limit of what you can do with your existing building.
And these improvements also include access for disability, ADA, access to the entryways.
Yes.
We have to modify the front entrance also.
I think the ADA entrance for the event
That's
space
what that
will
new
be,
vestibule
that's what the new
is.
vestibule is.
Yeah, that's, let me go back to the current. This would be fully accessible and it's actually more convenient for where your ADA spots are.
And also going out to the patio would be accessible.
Yes. Yeah, the grade slopes off, as those who've walked back there know. This patio would kind of, as you got out further, it would be up, kind of up on columns. But yeah, restroom side, everything is per current accessibility requirements.
So the process, Phil, from here, Frank, is if the board makes a decision, then what happens from, can you explain steps?
Yeah, so the next step is, while we're kind of quickly showing off options, it's very easy to move stuff around the paper, is we'll get more and more detailed, and the biggest part of that is engineers will get more and more involved, and that'll be sizing systems and equipment, telling, you know, getting into the weeds on that, so the thing can eventually be drawn to a level of detail that it can go out and be bid, publicly bid. So from the moment that you guys said, yes, we love option 2 and roll with it, that's probably another 5-6 weeks of drawings, and then it will be submitted for bid, and that process will take a couple months. At the same time we submit for bid, we would also then submit for a building permit with the county. That process could take up to 6 weeks, usually, 6 to 8 weeks to get their first comment. They always have something that they want addressed, and we revive. So, yeah, it's 3 or 4 months out from having a permit in hand, bids in hand, that type of, to make it real.
We put our engineers on hold. We were ready to kind of push forward once we got the approval on the floor plan, so we kind of just had our engineering team go on pause as we work through this. But per the proposal we sent you, this would conclude schematic design for us, and then we would go into design development, construction documents, and permitting. And we would go out to bid at the same time we go in for permit. So.
Do you have any more comments about, we're leaning towards option 2 is what I understand from the general consensus.
Yeah. Bill, if someone were going to build a new building that's approximately 7,700 square feet, 2 small kitchens, 6 bathrooms, is there a per square foot number that you guys have or could look up, or on a similar project, just to give me an idea? Because
Sure.
I'd hate for.
So it's, if you have about 8,000 square feet, we're seeing construction numbers that are easily up over like in the 400s a square foot, upper 300s. As you do some quick math there.
Yeah, I mean, I was 8,000 square feet. 400 is 3.2. Again, people ask us these questions all the time. It really depends on where you put the building, how much site improvements you've got to do. Do you have to bring utilities to the site? I mean, if you're gonna cost compare against a brand new building, there are so many factors that I think you need to at least have some initial input on that are going to drive the cost one way or the other. And mostly it has to do with the site that you choose and the utilities that are either available to that site, not available to that site. Do we have to run water 300 feet? You know.
But I think there's no scenario where you're building a new building of this size for less than $3.5 million.
It's just, we've got the foundation, we've got the slab, we've got the roof,
Yeah.
insulation,
Yeah.
some windows,
Yeah.
all right here already.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the garage as an event space, I mean, we've not gotten into all the design elements in there, but we have some sound control and lighting and technology, so there's some items in there that as we develop the drawings and push into the next phase, we're going to definitely have to address. So, but as an open volume and space, yeah, it makes sense, right? At least initially. So.
So your recommendation, Robert, is going with option 2? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Joe, are you gonna?
I'm comfortable with option 2.
And I'd like to see the cost lower than what they're projecting, but as they mentioned, it's a conservative estimate. There's 320,000 in contingencies, which we and there's large numbers on things like furniture and maybe technology that we might be able to reduce in the process if we've got limited budget. I would just hate to cut out the section D because it gives us problems with mechanicals and also furniture storage if we do try to reduce that price too. I think they've done an excellent job of listening to the staff and everybody and making modifications and changes. I think appreciate the work that you guys have done on this and everything you put up with from all of us in terms of changes.
We're used to it, Barry.
It's a big decision. Yeah. It's been good.
Leaning towards option 2.
I'd like to mention to the board as we go forward to be asking questions and considering as the engineers are looking at this, if there's something we need to modify or change, anything we can do to save on costs and still have what we originally feel that the township needs would be important. And I'll use an example. We desperately needed more file space, and we talked to a couple builders, and they were going to move this wall in so we would have a wide enough hallway to put the file cabinets in. I think we were looking at $12,000 to $15,000, something roughly like that. And I was a little excited about it because we're just moving a wall a little bit, and then we're going to involve the floor and the ceiling and everything. And then I checked into it, talked to engineer's office and everything, and actually our hallway was just wide enough to do the file cabinets and leave the wall where it is. So anything like we need to be asking questions on, anything that comes up that seems to be cost out of line, to ask it. And I know the engineers will be looking at that too, but we need to be asking questions.
As part of our contract with WSA, are they going to be overseeing the engineers and part of construction phases also?
Correct. Yep. And the plan would be is that we would update this costing data as we go through. So we'll update it at the end of DD. We'll provide an update. Cost estimate.
At the time that it goes out to bid, would we be able to, and I know we'll have time to go back and forth a little bit, but if there are things that we would like specially written out, like, you know, contractor will work with the township on A, B, and C. For example, let's say we don't want the, let me think, like the deck, for example, that maybe that is parceled out somehow. We can work with you guys on
Yep.
any of those types of
That's an
specific.
add-on to the bid.
Okay.
It's specifically written that way. It's a separate line item. We can,
Common thing.
common practice to have it add alternates.
A la carte.
There you go.
Yep.
Just one quick question, graphics, branding, what is that, 15,000?
Yeah, so it's a number to cover that, I believe you want some upgrades to building, you know, signage. There might be something in the new event space that is some, you know, a piece of art or graphics maybe celebrates the township or something. It's something that would, it's a placeholder for, you know, branding of, or graphics in the space of any kind. Whether it's the township logo, or anything like that.
Yeah, if there's a name, if you come up with a name for the event hall or something, we can have some signage.
So that's another potential area.
Yeah, it could be something paid for at another source or another time,